Yeah, if there's a team that could stop Aston Villa from competing for the title, then it should be Arsenal. Yes, and they did it tonight.
And they did it tonight for sure. Yes, Chelsea and Bournemouth had to settle for a point, a piece of a game that was absolutely incredible. 4 goals in first 30 minutes of the game. Meanwhile, Arsenal have ended Aston Villa winning strike in Premier League. When you want to win the Premier League, this are some of the signs you need to see. But hey, if you just join us and you are new, this is Ashili Sports. Hit the subscription button, like and share the video. Your opinions are highly welcome. With me today is Nana Kwame and also Emma. And we could just be telling you more into details, the tactical analysis, the inconsistency of Chelsea and the momentum of Arsenal, the way they are building into the ending of Premier League is gonna be massive. So join us for sure. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I think Arsenal winning against Aston Villa. We've seen a very good run from them. I think they had 11 wins in a row, and yeah, they needed a team to stop them. And there's no other team in the Premier League that can stop Aston Villa than Arsenal. Yeah, we've seen teams like Manchester City picking up the pieces. Liverpool, after losing for 3 or 4 games, they came back and they've won like 2 or 3 in a row. So yeah, if there's a team that could stop Aston Villa from competing for the title, then it should be Arsenal. Yes, and they did it tonight.
And they did it tonight for sure. Nana Kwame, yes, I know probably today you didn't watch almost all the game today, but at least you had a glances and you know previously and currently how the table is standing. But I want to know who is under the most pressure after today's game, Ruben Amorim and also Enzo Maresca, or Chelsea players versus United players? Who is more under pressure as at this moment?
I'll say Amorim, because coming up against Wolves who are far down below relegation, and you come up with a performance, a draw against such a team, though it's understandable that Wolves are trying to fight their way out of relegation, so they'll do their possible best. But this was in Old Trafford, so coming up against one of the weakest teams in the league, this is the opportunity. This is the points you have to pick easily in the league to get somewhere. If you are struggling with these games, then you are not making any progress. There's still inconsistency with Amorim's results or Manchester United's results. I think he's more on fire. There's fire on his head more than Chelsea.
There's fire on his head for sure. Emma, who was the standout player in today's game? Because we saw Arsenal like a lot of goals against Aston Villa. We also saw Chelsea 2-2 in an outstanding performance in both clubs today. I really expected Aston Villa to be more proactive against Arsenal in Emirates Sports Stadium. But other games, probably you've watched other games. So who was, let me know what you think about who was a standout player in today's Premier League fixtures for you.
Yeah, I had opportunity to watch Chelsea against Bournemouth. I think in the second half, I watched their game before going back toward the second half of Arsenal versus Aston Villa. So far, I think the player that impressed me this evening should be Gabriel Jesus, coming from the bench, and the performance that he put up was quite incredible. Yeah, because coming back from an injury like that, you shouldn't expect a player to put up a performance that's like that. But some way, somehow, he's finding his feet so fast that he's gelling with the players really well. So I think for my take, I think the player that stood out tonight was Gabriel Jesus. His link up play, The way he tracks back to, collect the ball and move with the attackers was quite incredible. And I was really impressed when he came on to put up such a performance. So for me, I think Gabriel Jesus is my standout player for this evening.
Gabriel Jesus, yes, and he scored a wonderful header for sure. Arsenal with set pieces, you can't stop them for sure. Nana Kwame, we know like today there was a lot of team performance, but which team actually performed most? And you think they should have won the game and they didn't? And why do you think they performed the most?
I would say Bournemouth. Before the game, I told you Bournemouth, they've had a streak of, 0 wins or no wins. They've been either losing or drawing, and that's not the Bournemouth we knew from the beginning of the season, or we know from the beginning of the season. Coming up against Chelsea, it's a big plus for them, or it can be a turning point for them to get back into their momentum as they were before. Because coming up against Chelsea in Stamford and getting results like this, even creating better chances than Chelsea in the long run, it's in the second half that Chelsea seem to, get back into control of the game. But in first half, if Bournemouth were to put away some of their chances, I think a draw will be far away from Chelsea, to say. So Bournemouth played their best, but it's unfortunate they couldn't get the results.
Bournemouth played their best, but it's unfortunate. Ima, is our Chelsea actually improving, or these results is actually unmasking deeper problems?
Yeah, they've always had deeper problems. This is not news to me. For me, I don't know. The Chelsea fans are very they raise their hopes very high mostly, but looking at their team, I don't see anything special about this Chelsea team. Fine, they have games that they can perform their magic, especially when you watch the game they played against Barcelona. The draw they played against Arsenal. There are some games that they find ways to grind the result, but it's not a team that is up there yet. So sometimes when I hear the Chelsea fans saying we are competing for the league, we are playing top four, I tell them to lower their expectations because their team is not up there, and that is the reality.
Is it Arsenal perspective or is the reality?
No, that is the reality. It's not Arsenal. It's not Arsenal perspective.
No, I'm asking for the fans because if you are wearing Arsenal jersey and you are condemning Chelsea, it's normal. So I'm just asking to confirm.
It's not me condemning Chelsea. That is their performance. Okay. Yeah, because we've seen teams, that come against Chelsea and they fumble. Like teams like Brighton and Hove Albion will come to Stamford Bridge and get the result. If you are really competing for the title, these are some of the teams that you have to score. Chelsea is not up there yet, but some way, somehow, their fans think they can just win the Premier League or they can even compete for whatever, the Champions League. And I don't blame them because we saw them against Paris Saint-Germain in the Club World Cup. So they based on that performance and a few performances in this season, and they are saying all those things. Yeah, I think there's more room for improvement for Enzo Maresca's side. They can do better. For me, the players they have, they can still do better. Looking at their team, top four will be a quite manageable feat for them this season. I don't see them winning any major trophy this season. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've already talked about my next question for Nana Kwame, but Nana Kwame, let me put it like this. Yeah, Ima have already talked about the team incapable of doing what the fans expect from them. But which player, when you watch out the game, which player do you think the coach should be dropping in the next game? Because you look at how they perform today and you ask yourself, like, what's really going on with the team?
I think the major issue is the defense, The defense is weak. For attack, you have a very good attacking prowess, young guys who can get better, gain more experience and become better at what they are doing or become best at what they are doing. But you concede goals so easily. So that is where I think if there is to be any changes, it should start from the defense.
Yeah, it should start from the defense. Maybe probably you could continue with this question. Which manager got his tactics completely wrong? Tactical completely wrong in today's matches?
Across all the matches?
Across all the matches.
Okay, I can't really tell because I think my focus was more on the Arsenal and the Chelsea game.
So among them,
it's hard to tell. Based on the results, I would say, Aston Villa. But the funny thing is, Aston Villa, right in the first half, I think in the first 30 minutes or 50 minutes, they had some great chances that they just wasted. As they were playing, the tactics was they were playing counter, and they have players who can run, so they run quickly with the ball, and they end up having 3 against 2 or 2 against 1 in Arsenal defense, but they didn't convert those goals. And if you don't take those chances, Arsenal will punish you. So tactically, at the beginning it was working, but I think when the second half came, things changed. I don't know. Arteta did his magic.
So, Ima, looking at Arsenal game, what in-game change decided the match for Arsenal? And also Chelsea one, which in-game actually decided for that game?
Yeah, for once, I think what we watched tonight wasn't a performance from both coaches. It's a performance from the players themselves. They took matters into their own hands, and they needed that win to make a statement that they want to win the Premier League. For me, I don't give the credit to Mikel Arteta, or I'm not. I will not be bashing Unai Emery for conceding 4 goals in the second half. I think the players took the game into their hands. And Aston Villa players should have also retaliated, but unfortunately things got out of control. And mind you, they are playing away from home, so definitely they have this advantage. The advantage is not on their side. And I think the 12-man from the Arsenal perspective was our fans today. They really cheered our boys up, and they really created an atmosphere that was very, very toxic for the Aston Villa players. So yeah, I say kudos to the players, and maybe I'll just give thumbs up to Mikel Arteta for assembling those players on the field of play today.
So, Nana Kwame, we look at these kind of games for sure. You look at teams, which team today block or look like relegation candidates for sure, because you look at Wolves is in there. You look at West Ham United. I think they also draw today, or I can't quite remember. But yeah, they draw 2-2 as well. And you look at Burnley losing at home as well. So these 3, which team actually look like they will be going relegation definitely this season?
From the table, it's clear. Wolves, they've already I believe they've booked their place.
Looking at today's performance once again, drawing against Manchester United in Old Trafford.
I wouldn't say that is a boost for them, because
Okay,
that should have been a done deal game for Manchester United. Manchester United just basically slacked in that game and decided to drop points in a game which is a must-win game. So drawing a must-win game doesn't make the other opponent, better or build some momentum. Okay, it can affect the players positively, but Wolves are so inconsistent this season, and it's likely they'll find themselves next season in the championship.
will find them safe. So, which team did you see, like you think they will be, who took like a massive step towards safety today?
Well, it's very difficult to tell. West Ham United started poorly this season, but some way, somehow, I think they are finding their feet. Sometimes, you meet some of these things along the way that you play, draw, and lose certain games. But I feel like the West Ham United that we saw in the beginning of the season, a lot of things have changed for the past 4 or 5 games now. So for me, I think if I'm to pick a team that is really determined to play in the Premier League again next season, that is trying to avoid relegation, I'll give it to West Ham United. Wolverhampton Wanderers, I think they've already booked their ticket to the Championship. I don't see anything that can bring them back into the Premier League, but maybe in the last days of the competition, we will see, because mostly some of these things are decided on the last day. Yeah. Some of these relegation teams, they mostly decide them on the last day. So we wait and see. But for now, I think the obvious team that has all like booked their tickets already is Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Nana Kwame, who was your man of the match in the game between Chelsea and Bournemouth?
I'll give it to Enzo. Enzo was prolific, both defensively and attack-wise. He had a second chance, which I felt he could have converted that to have a second goal in this match. But all in all, I see Enzo as the standout man in this match.
Enzo as a standout man for sure. Ima, best goal of the day. Which goal will you give it to?
Well, I think Leandro Trossard goal against Aston Villa. If you watch the game very well, it's between that goal and Gabriel Jesus, the placement from Gabriel Jesus and the goal from Leandro Trossard. I don't know which one to pick, but I think Leandro Trossard goes. It's a bit difficult as compared to that of Gabriel Jesus because Gabriel Jesus had the time to place that ball well, but looking at the circumstance in which Leandro Trossard played I think he was quite under pressure, but he found a way to slot that ball to the back of the net.
Yeah. So, Nana Kwame, worst defensive performance today. Which team will you give it to?
Clearly, the team that conceded the most goals, Aston Villa. Aston Villa were poor defensively and they paid for it. Arsenal didn't, waste the chances. They made the net cry. So that's the team that had the worst defense today.
Okay, so guys, that is it. And if you just join us and you are new, remember this is Ashili Sports and probably this is post-match game today. It's all about momentum. And you look at the Premier League table, a lot of things are really changing. Arsenal still leading with 5 points now because City still have a match to play, and City with 40 points, Arsenal with 45 points. Aston Villa failed to win today and still have 39 points on the third position, with Liverpool 1 game to go with 32, Chelsea 30, Manchester United 30 in the 6th position and 5th position consecutively. But on the bottom of the league table, we still have West Ham United and Burnley. Also, Wolves being the bottom of the league table. And for sure, today's results, we had Chelsea 2-2 against Bournemouth at Stamford Bridge. Burnley lost to Newcastle. And also, Everton won away from home 2-0 against Nottingham Forest. With West Ham at home in the London Stadium 2-2 against Brighton. And Arsenal made it 4-0 against Aston Villa. And the winning strike of Aston Villa actually ended today, as Manchester United also drew to Wolves in Old Trafford 1-1. So if you just join us and you are new, remember to hit the subscription button, like and share the video. Your opinions are highly welcome. See you in the next video. Ciao.